Well, folks, what is happening? Welcome to Mentality Monsters, and today's episode is proudly sponsored by our King's Competitions. We'll hear more about them later on in the episode. Today we're joined by professional comedian, say 2 temps of a pro MMA fighter / pundit, and the most 17-year-old looking 35-year-old to grace the North, Mr. Aaron Butler.
Thanks for having me on. I immediately feel like I'm disrespecting the podcast of how I've showed up dressed today. I was going for more like, it's Saturday, low-key. I look like I'm about to be interviewed by Nolan at any second here. Like I'm on one of Nolan's wee jail documentaries now. I'm like, Stephen, I'm not homophobic. I just don't like gay people. Anyway, it's good to be here. See how Stephen Nolan finds those people? How did Nolan have a fucking skill for finding the maddest cunts in the country?
He's just drawn to them. I think they're attracted. His weight brings off a smell and his scent, and then they're just drawn to him.
No comment, Stephen. I don't want to get sued by you. The love your work, big fan.
100%.
Yeah. I'm also, I'm going to take this jacket off. I've just realised I'm warm now. And I should have done this before we started, but this is the realness and the rawness of a podcast.
It is fun.
We're just doing our thing.
It's authentic. Yeah. It's authentic. Fuck it here.
Oh yeah, we're it's like strip podcast. I'll let you get in the wee fucking the class. Now I look like a drama student about to get into some rapping Shakespeare here.
This brings you back to the videography days.
Yeah. It's all good. Good to see you, man.
Good to see you.
Yeah.
Again.
What a jersey, by the way. That's a great jersey.
Man, Ardine, MMA.
That's class.
I'm gonna show you this handshake actually. Right. So how does that make you feel?
I mean, it doesn't make me feel any sort of way. Like, it just makes me go, that's an interesting handshake.
Interesting.
Yeah. What way should it make me feel?
See, when I get it done, I get like a real
It makes you feel bad?
No, like intimate.
Shivers?
Intimate? Yeah, like it's like, whoa, like this shouldn't be happening, but
so by you doing that to me, are you saying we're going to get intimate in some way? You took the shirt off, you did the whole finger palm on the old handshake.
I told you about the sunbeds.
You told me about your sunbed thing. Yeah. We're getting close.
I did have to bring this up to Aaron at the very start of the podcast. I was very disappointed that he wasn't wearing a football top, one of his nice football tops.
I apologise for that. I just, like I told you before we started, I get afraid that I'm going to be too cold. I think that's my biggest fear in life, is I don't like being somewhere and knowing I'm going to be cold for like a prolonged period of time.
It's understandable. We're up here in the arse of nowhere.
I'm a wee guy too. I'm not like look at you, fucking all your wee muscles and all your wee fucking body fat and stuff. I'm Mr. Burns. Like I am. A wind would kill me in the sleigh. Yeah. So I need to be insulated at all times. I'm like a young boy with the plague. I could die at any second if I get too cold. So yeah, I'm just looking after my own health, you know.
Well, you're like Shane was the famine Fuhrer, wasn't he? Like on that clip.
What one was that again?
The one of him and is it Mickey Parted where he looks like he's in the he does look like he's
when
Hitler.
He had his hair done differently.
Yeah.
He didn't like when we all said he looked like a wee bit Hitler-esque, and then he changed the hair for the better. I think the thing is with him is that he has such a strong quiff, and he knows it. It's almost like he can't tame the quiff. Like he's tried to ditch the quiff. But I think when you have a quiff like that, he comes out of the womb with a quiff like that, you know what I mean?
Being someone who knows him on a personal level.
Yeah.
How steady is hairline? Is it solid?
Oh, it's as solid as you can get.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. Like, I mean, there's a lot of guys that would love a hairline like that, you know? So, I don't think it gets any more solid than his.
Because Paul Hughes, great hairline.
Hold on. If you're ranking them, Hughes is numero uno. Now Shane's not far off.
Yeah.
But Paul is like Shane has said to Paul numerous times, you got like a black guy's hairline
100%.
because it's probably lined up and everything. Now I don't know how Paul takes to that, but he amazing, like class.
If my hairline went that far, it would be considered offside. Definitely.
Really? You're getting in dodgy territory recently.
See, at the minute I've got the mousse on, so the mousse adds volume.
Covering it up a little bit, doing your
bit of hairspray.
Yeah.
All over there, and voila, it's.
But you know what?
If you lift it up like that, you can literally go like that.
Bit of wind in your.
Strong because the wind. I'm fucked.
Yeah.
You run across that field.
But I think you have a head on you that would suit being bald too. Like I think, like if you fucking, especially you're all jacked and all, you fucking shave. You're good.
Yeah, well, I do work out. No,
Someone like me, I'll just look like a Make-A-Wish kid if it happens to me. So I have to maintain my
John
hair.
Cena will be walking in here with a fucking cake.
Yeah. Well, he's turned heel now, so I don't know if John Cena he's a bad guy now.
See,
yeah,
I would just watch the clips of WWE. I was always like, Randy Orton, Jeff Hardy, 2007 was when I got into wrestling. I was like, fuck, Randy Orton's my fucking goat. He was the heel.
So you missed the Attitude Era a little bit. You sort of weren't around at that point.
I kind of watched bits and bobs when he was in Evolution and like when he won the SummerSlam fucking world title and stuff like that there, and then the old fucking Triple H, Batista. Sad times. Yeah. But see, actually, my age started to hit me when I saw Randy Orton and how old he is now.
Yeah, but he's still going.
He's still going.
He's still wrestling really well, and it's he's keeping up his yoga, and he's doing his stretching, he's maintaining as you get older, and that's what we all have to like. It's almost like a nice reality wrestling where you go. But this is the sad thing too, in sports in general, and MMA and whatever else, in boxing, it really encapsulates and shows you the immortality of yourself, because you're looking at your favorite fighters and you're going, look at how great they are, look at their athleticism, their speed, their durability, and then just as you get that little bit older, it creeps up on you, and then the career just starts, and then it starts to get sad, and then you start to think, that's gonna happen to me eventually, and that's the beauty of life.
Last week I was watching the McGregor Forever. See that there one on Netflix.
The Netflix documentary?
Yeah.
Oh, man.
And I was saying going, right, that's 4 years ago now. And then I was going, fuck, he was old then. I was like, he's, not that he would, because he's fucking completely different now than the way he was. Different interests, and not going to get into it anyway. But I was going, that there is like, then he was old. Now there's just like, it's just sad to see.
I look forward. I watched that documentary, loved it back in the day, years ago, whatever. Thought it was really interesting insight and all the rest of it. I think the documentary that'll be even better will be the documentary that they make on his career in like 10, 15 years' time. Because, and what'll, the whole, overall arching theme behind it will be this man went from someone who could have been one of the most inspirational do-good people in the world, had the complete platform all at his feet, and then just completely threw it away. And it's just like 100%. It's sad. Like, I was a big fan back in the day, like when he was like doing that original run in the UFC, and he had the whole country of Ireland behind him going to Vegas and all this, and it was like really, and then it's just like sad.
I think it's pre-Mayweather. I think you see just the way he talked and the way he put himself across and held himself to such a high fucking regard, and just everything in body, spirit, and mind. And then now he's just...
I would also put some of the blame on the UFC. People forget that the UFC have purposely kept him out of fights because they're trying to gain leeway and leverage for their next negotiation deal. So they're going to the negotiation for their TV rights, going, here, we've got 2 McGregor fights left. We still have him on contract, and that's why they've been postponing fights for him. Now, don't get me wrong, he also did have a fight and pulled out of it and things like that. Yeah. But for a long while, they were just pushing it, not giving him fights. Even during COVID and that whole thing, they didn't want to give him fights, even though they were still running shows in empty arenas, because they're like, we make a fortune when he fights in front of an audience. Why would we put him in an empty arena? So he wasn't able to do what he wanted to do, and that maybe was the contributing factor behind whatever he's into in terms of his breakdown, his health, whatever substances he might or might not have taken. That could have all been a result of just not getting to fight and do his thing that he loved.
Now, this is what I say when 2/10 of a pundit.
I know my stuff.
Insane.
I know my stuff. Man, it's my, like, people have their own sports. Some people love football, basketball, American football. I've been just a massive fan. No, wrestling too, when it was back in its, when I was younger and stuff. But MMA, boxing, like, it's not even to do with like the sport. Sometimes it's just about the mentality, the mindset, what's going through a person's head during fight week. And it's all about the outcomes too, because sometimes you'll be watching maybe 2 fighters who are going towards a big fight and they have the weigh-in and they're doing face to face, and you go, oh, he's got him rattled, but oh no, he's going to win the fight. And then you watch the fight and it plays out entirely how you wouldn't expect it. That's the beauty of the sport, just all this lead up and build up to the big moment. Class.
See, before we get into your life journey,
sure.
See, when you look back at wrestling when you were a kid, and you think yourself, fuck, I remember arguing with my man, arguing with everybody. This is real. This is fucking. I remember.
Oh man.
I remember watching. I was in my room, and you had that there Chip Skybox.
Oh yeah.
Back in the day.
Oh, they were the best.
Watching Randy Orton and Kelly. And there were like a segment where he was sleeping with her, and I was sitting there going, I was going, I was going, what fuck? I was like, oh my God. And then realizing he was actually married the entire time. I just like, it's all acted.
It is, but it's you want it to be real so badly, especially when you're younger and you're like, no, don't take this away from me, you know. But then as you get older, I think you appreciate that, you know, even though it's not real, you're still like, oh, but they're still putting on an entertaining show.
Yeah.
Like flipping, you know, stuff on Netflix isn't real, but I still enjoy it. So it's one of those ones.
See, and I think back about stuff that I used to say when I was a kid. Like, there's a lad who's my mate, Shane Larkin, and like lived in my street. He's the only black wee lad in Ardoyne. Okay. So he told me and us one day, like all my like friend group when we were like 9, that Thierry Henry like was his dad, and I was like, fuck, there's no proof to say he's not.
But also, you can't not believe it. You know what I mean? You know?
And I told everything, and I remember going down to my auntie's house and telling them all, oh yeah, my mate's dad's Thierry Henry, and they were like, no, he's not. And I was like, he is. He says he's gonna bring us to an Arsenal game.
Oh no!
And then I was hustled.
Oh, we used to have a guy like that in our class. I don't want to name him. Basically his name. I'll not say his real name, but his name was like Bullshit John, and it was because he would come into school every day with like a new like I've got an Xbox 3 and all, and we'd be like, that's not even a thing happening right now. He would always have to one up or have something that someone else didn't have, you know what I mean? But you're 12 years old at the time and no one knows. You're also living at a time where there was no fake news internet, so you just have to be like, maybe he's right, maybe there is an Xbox 3 and I don't know about it, you know?
The absolute belter one I heard was my mates were all on the beak from school.
Oh, the beak, yeah.
And went to one of their mates' house that like his parents were away, and he'd always tell him, oh yeah, like I've got a 70-inch TV in the house, and they went in and they goes, fuck, that's only a 32-inch, and he goes, I'm the other half's upstairs.
To be fair, at least he saved it with some good banter. Yeah.
That's fair enough. Like,
that's all right.
But Aaron,
yes,
let's get into it here.
Sure
so
thing.
Can you tell us where you're from and what young Aaron was like as a child?
From West Belfast, born and raised on the Falls Road, went to St. Kevin's Primary School, was quite a normal child, I would say.
I thought you were about to break out into the Bel Air thing there. You said that.
To be fair, I probably didn't even pick up on it, but yeah, but no, just, you know, I was very quiet when I get into my sort of teenage years, like from the ages of like 9 to 17, 18. Very introverted, very shy, very like kept to myself. Still had friends and stuff, but wouldn't be the person who was like the class clown or anything. Was always very like reserved. And yeah, just I had a good upbringing, great family, very, very fortunate to have the family and friends that I do. And then went to uni, started to get a little bit more outgoing. I'd always had, when I was like from no age, I'd say like 10, 11, always loved like comedy, movies, films, all this sort of media that you would consume. Absolutely addicted to the TV. Would wake up at 5 a.m, go downstairs, watch TV before school, come back from school, watch more TV. You know, it was like my favorite thing to do was just to consume as much as possible. And this was before internet days, obviously.
Did you have watched TV between the hours of like 10 p.m. and 1 a.m?
I was asleep by that point. I had a good routine at that point, not like I do now. Gee, the sleep routine I was in, my mum had me very like regimented. She was like, and I think it was for her own like benefit, because she would be like, it'd be like 6 o'clock and the light was still bright outside, and she'd be like, right, you have to go to bed now. And I'd be like, it's still very bright. And she's like, no, you have to go to bed. And she would just put the TV on for me, and I would watch things like Father Ted, Whose Line Is It Anyway, Frasier, all these different comedy shows that Channel 4 would have on it at the run. And I think that's maybe what inspired and influenced me, on top of, you know, things like Saturday Night Live and all these different comedy shows that I was able to watch and have access to at a young age. And then as I got older, I did more, like in my teens, I started to lean more towards like videography and making sketches and making my own content. Like I had a YouTube channel when I was 15, 16, so that's 20 odd. My YouTube channel's about 19, 20 years old now.
Is it still the same one you've got now?
Same one. That's been the same one since 2005, 2006. So my YouTube channel is older than some people who are in university now, which is insane to even think about. But I remember the early days of YouTube, what it was like back then, how things, you know, there was no TikTok, there was no Instagram Reels. This was like the only, even before YouTube, I was able to code my own website and put my own video sketches on it. And so it was called like AaronButlerProductions.com or something. And I would have like, I would host the own content. And this is how early into
Yeah.
that sort of world and realm that I was in. And I'm like 13, 14 at the time. And I knew I loved sketches. I knew I loved writing comedy and performing and acting and entertaining. And as I got older then, I was still shy though. Like our school would have plays and musicals, and I would never audition for any of them. Just sat in the background, would pull the curtain behind the scenes, and that was it. Like, but I'd look at people and go, I'd like to, be able to do that at some point, but I wasn't ready yet.
What do you think was stopping you at that stage?
Don't know, to be honest. I don't know if it was just because I was such a shy kid and I was a very well disciplined kid. My mom always put like good manners and good behaviors in, and it'd be
Yeah.
like, you don't shout, you don't flip and get in people's face, you behave yourself. I think that was just me being like, yes, I'm just going to be nice, quiet, shy boy.
Yeah.
And that's what it was. And then you're at an age where you're still finding yourself and you're still trying to figure out what it is that you're even doing in this world, you know what I mean? So I get to uni then, and I start to sort of come out of my shell a bit more. I start to meet people from different cultures, different backgrounds. I just discovered what culties were. That was a real eye opener when you're like, oh, there's people outside of Belfast. This is insane, and they talk like that. That's mental. And then after that, start to meet some people at uni, and then a poster comes up on like a billboard, as old school, like as before all the internet, Facebook ads and stuff, and it was BBC looking to do a new stand-up comedy show. And it was like, if you've never tried stand-up before, this is for you. And I was like, well, I'm 19, love comedy, love stand-up. Like, let's just do it. Auditioned for it, ended up getting into the show. That's where I met the likes of Caine, Mickey Bartlett, Sean Haggerty, all these people now who are, selling, doing these big shows and whatnot. And we've been friends and working together since then.
Unreal.
That's it in a nutshell. Like,
There's a lot there. Like there is a lot there to
Oh,
cover
man,
from
like,
even that. That's
yeah.
like one thing which I would like to start on. You said like you were very shy and like an introvert. Do you think anybody in your class then would have realized what you were going to do now?
Nope. I don't think I honestly, yeah, it would be weird to even say it now, to be like, do you know that kid that's sitting in your class is
Yeah.
going to be in front of the SSE arena in like 15 years or whatever, and they'd be like,
Going to Dubai here to
yeah, going to Dubai to do a run of gigs, the host of Miss Northern Ireland, that's another gig that I do, like all these different fun things that
Yeah.
I have going on in my life, being in musicals and all these sort of things that I do. Yeah, you would especially in those awkward teenage years.
Yeah.
Because you're just an absolute mess at that point. You're like, what even is happening here? And I was also, I was in West Belfast in the school I went to, CBS. So many big characters, so many lads and boys who were all like,
Was it
loud and, like,
intimidating?
yeah. It was like, and it was. I was just trying to get through day by day.
Yeah.
Just trying to study, get my GCSEs and whatever. Do well. But in the midst of that, you got boys fucking doing mad stuff and all these and people taught, and you're just like, it's a whole overload to your emotions and what you're trying to do. Like, but that's what makes you, develop and grow and stuff like that. And yeah, we're all just trying to find ourselves at that age. Like,
See, growing up in West Belfast,
Yeah.
did you ever get involved in drinking at a young age or anything like that there?
no, so I've never drank in my entire life, never did a drug in my entire life,
Unreal.
never touched anything like that. And it's not because of anything against it. People think I'm some sort of religious issue or whatever. People can do with it. I have no judgment. My whole family drank, like no big deal. But just never appealed to me. I could never logically make sense of it.
Yeah.
So, do you know when you make like a pros and cons list?
Yeah.
That's what I would do with a lot of things when I'm trying to be logical about stuff. So I go, right, if I were to drink, okay, it cost a little bit more money than just buying Coke Zeros. I would wake up the next day with a sore head. I've seen people wake up and have like 2-day hangovers. I've seen people get drunk and absolutely make fools of themselves, boke everywhere, grope people, act like a dickhead.
Yeah.
You can't drive home, so I've seen people struggle to get taxis and have to walk home for hours on end. And I go, did I just...
Where's the joy?
Yeah, and then I also go, I don't need drink. Some people use it as like a confidence booster, like to go talk to people or to, mingle and be social. Like I can just do that without that. So, yeah, it just doesn't benefit me. For other people, fire away. If you're happy enough, great stuff. But yeah, I just get on in life without it.
How did you deal at a young age, say like in uni especially, uni, the culture of uni and drinking?
Yeah.
What was that like for you?
Do you know what? The one thing I would say I would commend myself on is this. Even though I was shy, even though I was a little bit afraid and timid when I was younger, especially, more so, I never was one to succumb to peer pressure. And even today, I wouldn't ever succumb to peer pressure. For example, all the comedians every year try to get me to do comedians boxing. And I go, nah, I'm all right. And they all try pile on me going, do it. And I'm like, no, I'm good. I see if I don't want to do something, I just don't do it. And that,
Follow up, why? I'd love to see it.
the comedians boxing?
Yeah, I'd love to see it.
I can tell you exactly the reason why. I would take it not too serious, but here's the thing, the boys will tell you this as well. They all get into it going, it's for charity, it's a bit of fun, sure, it's a bit of crack, sure, we'll go light on each other, blah, blah, blah. Then they start training and things change immediately. Because here's why. See, when you do one training session and you go, oh, geez, that was hard work, I'm going to try to get better. And then you do the second training session, and then you start going, putting in a lot of time here. I'm doing like hours. I'm like, and then you go, well, I don't want to lose if I'm putting in all these training sessions. And so then that fuels you more. You go, I gotta keep training more. And you lose your life to it then eventually. So what becomes like this fun little kickabout almost becomes like a serious, oh no, I want to win now because I've just lost, time with my family, time from gigs, blah, 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 to do this. And I would be the type of person, if I get into it, I'm all in. Like,
100%,
you're not going to see me for weeks. I'm not going to be gigging for months on end. I'll spend every bit of money I have in my business bank account to hire the best trainers, nutritional coaches. No stone would be unturned. I swear I'd be so dialed in. And then I go, I could do that, or I could just work on getting funnier and, extending my actual career a bit more.
Strengths.
Yeah, what's going to benefit me more in the longer run? So, yeah, but I'm always part of the boxing event when they do it, like whether I'm, flipping in Andrew Ryan's corner, being a bit of a head case, whether I'm on the punditry, doing a bit here and there. Like I'm happy enough to be, but yeah, it's just one of those things. I know for my personality type, wouldn't be for the thing I could do.
I done one last year with Ray's Promotions, Andy Malone.
I was at that one. My mate had 2 front seats for it, and I tagged along. Yeah, flip. So I seen you then.
It was the third last fight. I wasn't wearing headgear. My
opponent
was. My opponent wore headgear. He wore headgear and a vest.
Who did you fight again?
So I was supposed to fight a lad called Michael Burgess, does the Young Hunger podcast.
Right.
And then he pulled out with a strained arm a few weeks before. And then Andy Malone rang me and says, right, he goes, listen, I've got a lad here who's never fought, but he coaches boxing, or Mickey Bartlett. And I goes himself, right, Mickey Bartlett, because I goes, the name, that'd be good crack getting it, because like again, I didn't meet him before the podcast, before we done our podcast. So I was like, fuck yeah, it'd be a good way to meet him and stuff like that. So I said to Andy Malone, right, Mickey Bartlett 100%. I was in Lebanon on fucking, like, on my phone going, Mickey Bartlett. And he was going, what? I was going, Mickey fucking Bartlett. And then came the night. The lad, he says, right, he goes, nice lad, no fighting experience at all. He takes pads and stuff like that. He had fought 3 times in the previous 2 weeks, and he fought twice in one night. But TKO second round, he fucking desiccated his shoulder. We're in a clinch.
That's what happened. Yes, and I remember.
And I was going to myself. They came over to my corner and said, if he gets, because he hit me a fucking right, I got absolutely out of it. I was like, oh fuck.
I remember that fight.
And then I goes to myself, right here. He came over to my corner and goes, if he gets hit like that again, Dan, like, I'm calling it. And then his coach came over and goes, fuck yeah, he desiccated his shoulder. And I goes, thank fuck. I was like, thank fuck he did.
I remember that.
So I was sitting going to myself, fuck yeah, if I went all around with him, like, he was...
he was fucking yup, like.
Man, he was 6'3". His arms like that there were 2 of my arms together.
Oh,
like
yeah,
that.
man. Like, it was a total difference in everything. I remember watching it going, fuck me, he's putting a beating on this guy. And then when he got done for the arm, I was like, oh, fuck. It's just the way the sport goes.
I was like, hey, fuck. Because the first round, I was going, right, the first round, both of us, like, equal in the first round, but second round, he absolutely took it to me. And I was like, oh, fuck. And I wasn't wearing headgear as well. So any shots that I was landing ahead, he was wearing headgear, so he just like soaked them up. But I said to him before, I'm not wearing headgear, and his coach says at our club we wear headgear, so came out wearing headgear.
I wonder I always,
like-
I don't know the details of that event or whatever. It's amazing that they only ever did one Rise Promotions, funny enough. I don't know how they got away with not wearing headgear. Because you're meant to, if you're that level, everyone should be wearing headgear. But I remember when the final for Andy and Chris Suter fought each other, I was like, Chris Suter should absolutely be
Did
in
Paddy
headgear
wear
right now.
fucking
No,
headgear?
no one did. No one did.
See, I had the option.
Your
and
opponent might have been the only one to wear it, to be
Aye.
honest. I think so.
I said to McCallum before, I said, like, I'm not wearing headgear because I want it to look the part as well. Like, I want it to be fucking good. Because I didn't train at all wearing headgear.
Yeah.
So I was like, fuck it, I'm just gonna just wear headgear. Like during spars, not before. I wasn't wearing headgear.
They say there's pros and cons to it. The pro ways is obviously it protects your head a little bit, but then the con is that they say is because you are wearing headgear, you're more like, oh well, my defense is a little bit weak. I'm not working on my defense as much because fuck it, sure the headgear will look after me type thing. And then also, depending on what headgear you get, like a lot of comedians at the boxing made the mistake of wearing the headgear that they were supplied with instead of having their own.
Yeah.
When you don't have your own, sometimes it doesn't fit right, it falls off, your vision's completely skewed. So if you're ever doing one of those amateur things, the biggest advice is train and wear your own headgear that fits your head perfectly, that doesn't move.
I got a nice wee pair of fly gloves, fly thing. I was going, this is going to be
Oh,
this is
yeah,
gonna be the part. I was going all out.
Yeah.
But for me, unfortunately, I was in Lebanon for 10 weeks before the fight.
Yeah.
And I was being trained by a Muay Thai fighter, which in itself was class. Like, big shout out to Alex Kelly, legend.
Yeah.
But Muay Thai fighters and thing fighters are just completely different.
Yeah,
And
it's
in
different
boxing, like,
style,
they're just. So we're back into it there. You would have just heard from our sponsors there at our Kings. One thing which I want to ask you is just because everybody who I really speak to from the West kind of has a different answer because of each area is different, and then your experience is different to the likes of say Paddy McDonald or Levi Ives.
Yeah.
Growing up in West Belfast, what was the best thing about it?
Do you know, the best thing is probably growing up in the era I grew up in before the internet. And because of that, you're a kid or you're a teenager who doesn't really know any different. Not that you're, sheltered to the world outside of West Belfast, but there was almost a blissfulness of just being like, this is just where I live, this is where I walk about, this is the street, this is the area. And I think the best sort of part was having such a great family. My dad worked in all the bars in West Belfast and he always brought me round to them, and just meeting the people and the crack when you were younger, and you would just meet all these characters and you'd be like, oh, this is just a nice positive, this is in like 96, 97 or whatever. You were like, this is just fun,
See, two things which I want to say. The first thing is about your era, which I think, when I think, you're only like 7 years like older like than me.
Yeah.
But when I think back, see, like of the early 2000s, Pull and Moves, the TV show.
I remember it. Yeah.
Unreal. Love that there. Like,
it was only did one season, didn't it?
Yeah. Fucking what you call him? Kieran Nolan.
Yeah.
Kieran Nolan was in it and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I think there. And do you ever watch Game of Thrones? This is just all like off topic.
No. I tried to. Got into one episode and was like, this isn't for me now.
See,
Ramsay Bolton, are you about to say?
No, I'm not flirting.
Okay.
Yeah, Ramsay Bolton's a belter though as well.
People say I
But
look like wee Ramsay Bolton,
is a
and all I know
belter.
is apparently he's a bad bastard.
He is. He cuts off someone's dick and
That's me.
Yeah.
The old,
yeah. Grab his dick and twist it. But you, with your eyes they could be a Weight Walker. Man, your eyes are scarily blue.
Hey, now you need to be more humble because I was looking at your eyes going, have we got a thing going on
Stop
here?
it.
But you've very blue eyes as well. Yeah.
The guys who got their eyes go, fuck me.
But
they
yeah,
are
I do.
blue.
I think it's a tumor. We don't know yet. We're waiting on the results coming back. It might be any day now.
Well, Ramsey Bolton and tumors kind of coincide. It would make sense.
I have and do you know what? People think I'm a dickhead because you've blue eyes. Blue eyes let in are more sensitive to light.
Yeah.
So I would be very fond of wearing sunglasses a lot of the time. Anytime I'm outdoor, even fucking like if I'm at airports or stuff in the airport lighting, I would always walk about and people go, look at that knob wearing sunglasses indoors. It's literally because it gives me headaches if the light is on me for too long. So it's just better for me to fucking wear. I have prescription glasses and stuff. I'm also really bad at eye contact, which is just, I don't know what that is. That's a behavioral thing in itself. But yeah, I don't know.
Because with eye contact, there's a perfect
balance.
There's perfect, like,
too much, too little.
Or yeah, if there's too much, it can be too intense. If it's too little, you're like, it's trying to get that fine line of eye contact, and it's just fucking mad. Like I've had someone on the podcast where the entire time they've just
stared at the camera.
No, didn't look at me once. Just stared.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Just stared at the corner, and I was.
Yeah, I get those moments. Like I get those. It's funny. I like I said, I do wear glasses, even though I don't wear them. I only wear them when I go to the cinema or when I drive or stuff. But what that means is when I'm gigging, I'm blind. Like I'm looking at the audience and I'm like, you all just look like a blur to me. But in a way, it's kind of good because I don't want to make eye contact with them. So I'm like, I know I'm ambiguously looking somewhere, but it's actually better for my mind to not see people.
But then if someone heckles you, are you going, who the fuck was that?
A little bit, yeah. And, usually it comes from near enough the front of this sort of row.
Yeah.
So I can see that if I squint a little bit, but if it's like in the middle, oh fuck, it's a guessing. You're almost like just like listening to be like, I can like using your like dolphin echo fucking thing to be like, I think they're over there trying to deal with it. But thankfully it doesn't happen too often to me. I'm not too bad in that department. So
how do you deal with hecklers?
Different ways. Like I think there's some are better than it than others. I would say I prefer to just, don't get me wrong, when you're working as an MC, so I would do quite a bit of MCing, you are trying to reach out to the crowd, get to know the audience, set the vibe and the tone for the night. When I'm not doing that, I just prefer to do my set. I don't prefer to like chat to I just like to do the actual comedy type thing. But whenever you're fucking like, if something unexpected happens, you sort of just have to rely on your own instinct and your own wit and your improvisation to just be like, let's see where we can take this. Now, what I'll usually do, here's a little secret behind the scenes, lifting the curtain. If I want to give myself more time to think of something to reply with or to say, I'll repeat what they've just said to me.
Yeah.
So say they've said, you're shite, Aaron. I'll go, did you just say you're shite, Aaron? In that moment, I'm thinking, all right, well, what am I going to reply back to this? You know what I mean? So that's just a little trick I have to deal with that, and that helps me sort of gather my thoughts a little bit instead of just jumping right on it and going, well, you're fucking shite. You know what I mean? Because sometimes you don't act accordingly. Sometimes your instinct isn't right, and sometimes you'll maybe too angry at them, or maybe they didn't even say anything that bad, but you've just been, what the fuck you say, dickhead? So you have to like know how to read the room a little bit, and that sort of little tip would help me just to repeat back what they said, get a vibe for how they said. I can either make fun of how they said, I can talk to them. If I have nothing funny to say about them, I'll just chat to them and go, what is it you do? Where are you from? Why are you saying that? Like, and then I'll try to get something funny out of that. But yeah, like for the most part, it doesn't usually happen, and if it does happen, it's usually very easily dealt with.
Have you ever went into a room and just felt that the energy is raw, like the tension is just like you're gonna have a rough night?
There's some gigs you walk into and you go, why are we all doing this? Why are we all putting ourselves through this? Can we all just come to a mutual agreement that we'll all just go home? We'll all go home now, and we don't have to do the gig. We don't, like, there was one gig I did recently. I don't want to name it just to be safe, but it was with Willie Thompson, and me and Willie are just looking at each other going, this just shouldn't happen right now. But you're also faced with the harsh reality of it has to happen because you're being paid there to make it happen, and you just have to suck it up. And look, the sort of pros and cons is this. It's a fucking shit gig, and you're like, for fuck's sake, this is annoying. I wish it was great. The other side of that is, look, you have to play all types of rooms especially when you're coming up and you're trying to develop your craft and you're trying to, be a better comedian. it helps you to play the hard rooms.
Yeah.
You get more benefit out of playing the hard rooms because if you can play the hard rooms, the easy rooms are even better.
Yeah.
So there is a pro and con to it. We would love to play fucking unreal rooms every single night, but that's not the fortunate reality. What we are lucky is the way that the scene is now, so much better than 10, 15 years ago, because 10, 15 years ago, every room was a hard room. Now at least you have places where you go, oh, this is lovely. This is nice. This is a wee cafe that holds 50 people. This is the black box that holds a number of people, that has a regular base of people that come to it that enjoy comedy. You've got those sort of gigs now where you're like, we're lucky now. You know?
Does it make you appreciate the good ones that you've been through, the bad ones?
Yeah, absolutely. It makes you you hit the nail on the head. You're just like, this is art. By the way, I would like to just apologize so far. I feel like I've not really been that funny so far for a comedian on a podcast. But also, I'll say this: what expectations do people have of podcasts? Because my expectation is just to be myself and just talk and say it how it is. And I may not necessarily be laugh out loud or funny, but I'm just pretty chill and down to earth.
100%.
And when I'm on stage, that's when you get like the fucking boom, 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 comedic guy. When I'm off stage, I'm quite just normal and chill.
See, I don't expect comedians to come on here and be funny and all that there malarkey, because we kind of have, it's kind of good that we kind of have a reputation and expectation now on this podcast where it is a bit more serious. It's because no one else really in the North is offering the kind of podcast which we're offering in terms of a life story, like someone coming in and actually just telling you their life story, and not the fucking all the highs, the lows as well.
Sure.
They can get into learning from it, because that's what I want to try. Even if we can educate one person each episode on something, maybe something as small as fucking like you says about like how to deal like with hecklers. If that can help one person, I mean, you're doing your job there.
That's true. Yeah, I can just hear the trolls in my head already going, I say he wasn't even that funny on that podcast. Maybe a comedian now, you ain't telling jokes around. You know what I mean? You're just like, mate, just fucking take a chill pill, you know?
100%. Like again, it's your job. You're not going to do that every single day. Like like,
totally. No.
One thing which I want to like touch on before we actually go into like how you started off your comedy career and how you overcame, say, like fears of because you were so shy and stuff like that there.
Yeah.
It's a bit of a mad question, but what does comedy mean to you?
Oh, man. Thank you for asking this question, because it is something that like I would be very passionate about, and here's why. You look at the world and the state that it's in at the minute, with all you have to do is go on the internet to see the hatred that's incited from, whoever it may be. You see the violence. You've been there firsthand. You've seen fucking places in the world that are, I've did charity work, and I've went out to Africa, India, and all these places, and you see the fucking sadness and the despair and the level of poverty, and everyone goes through hard times in life, even in this country, whether it be you wake up to your boss giving you shit, whether it be opening your email box and there's 40 emails in there you don't want to reply to, whether it be you've just woken up and you've learned that your mother or your father maybe have an illness of some kind and it's terminal, whatever it is, whatever struggle, we all are going through some sort of struggle at some point in time in our lives. The beauty of comedy, and why I feel comedy is so important, is it provides an escapism. It's where you sit in a room with a bunch of collective people for a set period of time, and you all agree, we're going to drop all that stuff that's been putting stress on us, it's been putting stuff in our emotions and putting us through hard times, and we stand on stage, and the beauty of what I get to do is I get to make you have a little bit of joy in your life, a little bit of happiness, a little bit of laughter, and just forget about all those, whether it's paying a bill, whatever stress you might be going through. And see, when I do that, that brings proper joy to me. That brings, regardless of your ego or how well you're doing or how much money you're making, see when people leave a room going, oh, we feel better for having been here. And that's you were talking about feelings of like euphoria and feeling like high on drugs or off the podcast. That's my drug. That's my high. 100%. And I don't do, like I told you, I don't do drink, don't do. See, when I go on stage and it all clicks and goes right, there's nothing.
That's
like
where you get
me.
Your hit.
That's my hit, like, for sure.
That's a very, very good answer.
I tried to answer it as genuine and as detailed as I possibly could for you. But the reason why I say it is because that is my passion. That is why I am so into it, And I'm just so lucky that I'm in a position where I get to make a career out of that. That's class. That's like fucking so cool.
Do you get so this is a two-part question. Would you get much people coming up to you after your gigs and saying that there was good or giving positive feedback? And if you do, How does that make you feel?
Yeah, like I'll MC Lavery's from time to time. I'll MC other gigs like Crumb One and stuff. And I tend to get the more positive feedback when I MC rather than when I just. Although sometimes if I'm not MCing, people maybe drop a message on Instagram being like, "That was class, that was so good." Or if I do a big gig, say like in an arena doing for support for someone, you'll get like a run of messages being like, "I was there, lad, that was class." It's brilliant, and all I ever do is just smile and say thank you. I'm glad you enjoyed it, and I be polite to people. I say, please come back. I hope to see you again. Like, so glad. I chat to people, and I just, at the end of the day, we're all just trying to fucking navigate this crazy world and life, and it's just all about being happy and providing a bit of joy. So I love it. I love positive feedback. I love that I'm able to make people enjoy their lives and give them a little bit of happiness. That's class.
So take me back then to the first time you ever done stand-up.
First time I ever done stand-up was part of the BBC TV show Find Me the Funny. They had booked us 5 minutes in Queen's Film Theatre, and it was an intimate gig. Just like family.
Intimate,
and
like the handshake?
Not as intimate as I don't think anything's as intimate as that. I think you could fuck me and it wouldn't be as intimate as that. It was intimate more in the sense of, it's like 70 people in a room. Producers of the TV show are there, their friends are there, some of our friends and family are there. It's a real collective mix of people. I do my first 5 minutes. My first 5 minutes is mostly one-liners, and they're all pretty edgy. I'm like 19, 20 at the time. I'm sort of just trying to figure out who I am as an act. And I do it, and I fucking get laughs, and I go, holy shit, I'm like freaking out. I'm like, this is amazing, feeling it's so cool. And then I go back to, they were putting us up in Elms Village at the time with the TV show. We had to stay in Elms because they were filming stuff the next day and whatever, even though I lived in Belfast. But it was just like we were all in this wee commune of like comedy. And I remember going back to my room, sitting going, this is me. Like, I'm like, this is fucking, I'm going to be big in the next like 5 years because if that's my first gig, fucking class. Second gig was the next night in Lurgan. Sean Haggerty organised it. There was like 9 people in the bar. I showed up wearing a white suit for some reason because I was a fucking idiot. And I was standing in a white suit in Lurgan and 9 people in a bar. Absolutely dying on my hole. Like, you wouldn't believe. And then I went home that night going, oh.
A slice of humble pie.
I was like, that's comedy. And from then on, that's where the real work was happening then. So yeah, it was from the get-go, it was a joy, but it was then soon hit with the reality of, well, this is also like a job / work / a craft skill that, don't get me wrong, there are people who I would say are naturals. There's people, and you probably know them in your life, you've probably been around people at a party who go, Jesus Christ, that guy's so naturally fucking funny. And then there's other people who it takes a bit of work. I would put myself in the category of I have to really sit, write, develop ideas, test stuff out for it to eventually reach the point where it's almost like you're cooking up a recipe where you throw a little bit of this in, and then you put it in the oven, and then you get and you go, oh fuck, there it is. That's it. Fucking nice. Now that's the way my comedy works and how it takes. I'm not the most natural funny person. I'm not bad, not the worst by any means, but you know what I mean when there are people who, here's just the best example, and you had him on here, Mickey Bartlett. Mickey Bartlett is naturally a machine gun of comedy. There is no one who I've ever met more where I go, you should only ever be on stage doing comedy. You should never be doing anything else. You should never be doing any other regular job. You know what I mean? So yeah, there are outliers like that, but they're few and far between.
He is class.
He's ridiculous. He's ridiculous, but and that's his forte, and he's fucking great at it. Like,
when it comes to your material, how do you go about getting it?
Different ways. It changes over years. There was. Everyone's different, and every comedian has a different process of writing and developing material. My process personally is a few different ways. Number one is the traditional way where you'll literally just get a random idea in your head and you go, fuck, I must put that in my notes app. You put it in your notes app, you come back to the notes app, and then you start working on it further. The other way to do it is to actually just read some newspaper, see what's happening in the world. So I would maybe go on to just like some websites and be like, what's the headlines? What are people talking about at the minute? What's the finger on the pulse of society? What's the hot topics? And maybe you have a bit on that. Your other one to go to is your actual own life experiences. So you can make a list going, right, what have I done in my life? Right, have I skydived? Have I done a cooking class? Have I been in an airport? Have I went out to a family birthday party? you start looking at all those things and you go, what was funny about that? Is there anything about that I have observational material about? Those are some different ways. And yeah, it's just literally just thinking about, and then what you would do is, say, for example, I took something like being away in Disney World, and I go, right, what happened in Disney World? What other jokes can come from being in Disney World? Who else is in Disney World? You ask a lot of questions, and then you maybe start writing on paper. You know, you start putting in things like Disney films, Disney TV shows, Disney songs, Disney parades, Disney fireworks show, Disney hotels. What's it like to stay in one of those? You literally are just farming your own experiences or your own interests or observations for as much stuff to talk about as possible. And then eventually you find something where you go, that's a little bit funny. And then when you get that, you go, oh, that could be, that's how, that if I'm chuckling at that, that's maybe got something in there. So yeah, it was just, here's a great example. I was reading the news, I was telling you, sometimes you get material from news. Read an article, Northern Ireland's the #1 population for porn addiction in the UK. So many different areas and roads you can go down with, you know, why are we like that? You know, is that our thing coming out of the Troubles? How can that relate? And then you start putting things together. You go, oh, well, what's that got? It's just so many different ways to do it. But it can literally just be, and like I said, everyone's different. Some people are one-liners. Some people are more storytellers, like Paddy McDonnell. He has stories for absolute days and days on end. And then other people, like me, it's just like a smorgasbord of like, what I'd probably have to just investigate subjects enough to the point where I get something where I go, that's a little bit interesting, you know.
You've built a good community, I think, like yourselves, and like a good friend group and stuff like that.
Yeah.
How important is it for you to stay surrounded by like-minded people? Do you think it benefits you in comedy?
The funny thing about comedy is this: when you're on stage, you're on your own. You know what I mean? It's like, you know, similar to take MMA, for example. You're part of a team. You're part of Fight Academy Ireland. Yeah. But when Paul Hughes is fighting in the cage, he's on his own. You know what I mean? Don't get me wrong, as a corner and stuff, but for the moment, he's on his fucking own. Same with stand-up. You know what I mean? Stand-up, you're on your own. When you're out there, you live and die on your own jokes and on your own material and on your own delivery. But in the background, you know, you have friends, you have close-knit community, you have people you can reach out to and go, man, really struggling with a bit of material here. Do you think you have anything that could like contribute to this? Or what do you think of this joke? Or do you want to get together and get a coffee? I think the benefit for me has been I've maybe wrote like, you know, say I've wrote like 20 minutes of new stuff and I go, fuck, I like this, but maybe I'm just delusional. Yeah. I hit up one of the lads. I go, listen, let's grab a coffee. You bring your ideas, I bring my ideas. We'll share it together. We'll see if there's anything in there. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But I personally believe not only in comedy, but in all walks of life, you know, whether it be sport, business, and collaboration, and I've learned that through comedy, is so valuable and important. Because when I was freelancing as a videographer, I was on my own. And don't get me wrong, I did some good things, but I've just felt so much better having the collaboration, and that it just makes you feel more uplifting about things, you know, as you're doing it. So yeah, I'd be a big advocate of that.
I spoke to, I think, Mickey off camera about this year, but it was like the perks of comedy. So he would say, like, you get the odd pint and stuff like that there in Lurgan.
Oh, Mickey gets the odd pint. Mickey's favourite thing is the gig with me because he gets my pints.
Have you ever got any perks or anything like ahead in the queue or allowed to go in somewhere, or collaborations or sponsorship or anything like that there?
Yeah, I've got some perks. I mean, some that come to mind. Obvious, like the drinks ones are always big, like where you'll get, but it's wasted on me because I don't drink. So like sometimes I've got like some free alcohol and I just give them a day. That's fine. I got some clothing people reaching out to me, giving me some clothes. I love that. You know what I mean? Yeah. They're like, oh, would you wear that? I'm like, yeah, fucking sure.
100%.
Anything. Love a wee jumper, love a wee sports shirt, all those sort of stuff. Love those sort of things that happen. When I was in Belfast International Airport, I got Q-bumped like a few months ago.
Were you wearing your sunglasses as well there?
No, I had them off at this time. Because you have to, for security purposes, they don't want you to think like I'm about to go through security with sunglasses on. It's the most dodgy character. I'm the bomber. Like, you don't have to be too fucking simple to pick that one out. So yeah, I got Q-bumped in that. I don't want to get Belfast International Airport in trouble. Yeah. But I think the guy gave me a wee nod and was like, yeah. And I was like, because it was a big queue and whatever. But and look, I was innocent in this.
You should have given him the
The finger
The
tickle.
handshake,
I
them.
might have got put to the back of the queue if I'd done that. So yeah, I think that happened. Flout Pizza, they're really nice to me. Shout out to Pete that runs Flout. What a guy! Fucking, have you had him in here? You know?
No, nah, that you've mentioned that
Oh man.
pizza.
Oh,
Where's
you
the
would
best?
like to get into this? What's worse than
I want to
best?
get into it.
Controversial because you don't want to offend anyone. I'll say this. I grew up very nostalgic on Little Italy pizza. Would still love Little Italy pizza and big fan of them. I do think the pound for pound number one at the minute in the country is Flout. Just I say this about the guy that runs it, Pete. He is operating on a different level when it comes to pizza. The guy, every ingredient, every preparation,
Consistency.
insane levels of detail and consistency. It's like a mix of the two. Like he's really just fucking honed in on bread. Like anything about bread, this guy knows it. Now, that's not me disparaging any other pizza places because they're all class, but we have so many fucking pizza
What
places
crust
here.
are you
like-
going for? Thin, thick, stuff? I need to know. There's details. There's details. to
New
these
Haven
places.
style is probably the best at the minute, and it's sort of similar to New York style. Only the dough's a little bit different in some way that I can't describe, but Pete definitely could. But it's similar to New York style
Yeah.
where it's like triangle slice, traditional. Still love a Detroit style slice, which is thicker. Haven't really had Chicago style, but I would like to.
What's
so-
your opinion on American pizza? Do you think pizza? Because in New York, I thought the pizza over here, or pizza places I've had over here, which are nicer
yeah.
than New
yeah.
York. Is,
Yeah, always slightly overrated because you always go with this idea of being like, oh, and then you're like, oh, it's like that famous expression, never meet your heroes.
Yeah,
Because you're always this a little bit, I think that's a little bit, like I've had pizza in Italy as well, and I'm like,
Yeah, I've seen photos of. I haven't been to Italy myself.
yeah.
But I want to go to the Coliseum and bottle it out one day.
I bet you
And-
do, yeah. Get a rematch with the guy. That, sure, you own one because he hurt his arm.
Dislocated the shoulder. Oh God.
You want to take that fight again? Yeah. But I had but yeah, love. I'm trying to think of other good local pizza places I've been. Pizza Works is really good here.
We had him on Owens
Farina, Donegal, it's fantastic. If you're out in that sort of direction in the Arts Peninsula sort of vibe, it's fucking man. That guy Daniel, I think. Yeah, it is.
Little Wing. Where you come for Little Wing?
Do you know what? Here's what I'll say about Little Wing. I enjoyed it when it first opened. I had one recently in Enniskillen. I don't know if it's just the Enniskillen branch. Felt like it dropped a little bit. But look, I would be very easily persuaded if I had another one again, and I'm sure they're doing great stuff. And do you know what I like about them? If I'm ever in Belfast, I'll do like they have the slice deal. You can buy a slice. There's very few places you can buy a slice from. Tell you where Little Wing's best fucking asset is that Pizza Hut they have like beside the National when all those are. I've had that before. Oh, that's good now. The way they're firing in those slices, yeah.
See, in New York there in December, I went in my first time in New York, and everyone was buying slices, but I was just like, "Here's a medium pizza."
You went whole?
and he
Wow.
went, "Sorry," and I was like, "Medium pizza." And he's like, he goes, "Okay."
Culture
I'm
thing.
not joking, man. Like, it was like an extra large over here.
Oh,
medium
yeah.
pizza, man. We had it in the hotel room for 2 days.
The
Like eating it 2 days. 2 days later, just sitting there, cold pizza, hungover.
Yeah. The
Fuck,
food
going food.
portions in America are ridiculous. Like even just a normal meal or breakfast or whatever, you're just like these guys just go for it. Like
See the way you mentioned before, you had that thing in your story, and it was up for an hour, and you're like, "Oh fuck."
Oh, we can say that. Though. I can
yeah.
tell that story here. No
Yeah,
big
the
deal.
fuck. Well, Aaron was getting there like about juice, just.
No. To give you context, I put up a story that said on Instagram, "Hey, going to be at this gig tonight, trying out some new material." But instead, I mistyped and went, "Going to this gig tonight, trying out some June material." That's why it was. Yes, that happened. I was up for an hour, and then we laughed about it.
Something which I wanted to ask you, just since we discussed that there, about the misspell. Have you ever had any material you've said that has got a backlash?
Yeah, and for different reasons, like I even hesitate to bring it up just because I don't want to fucking give people a reason to be like, you know what I mean? But see, when we do material, and I'm speaking for myself here anyway. I'd say I'd be speaking for other lads too. Like we're never doing it from a place of hatred or a place of we're trying to fuck people off or we're trying to make people angry. My intention is always just to make people have a bit of a laugh. And sometimes there'll be sarcasm, sometimes there'll be ridiculousness, sometimes there'll be just fucking stupid slapstick. Like it's always a little bit different. But I remember one time I had a joke that mentioned the word pedophile, and someone in the audience obviously had been very affected in
Yeah.
a way, which is fair enough. But they then made a big statement during the show to like stand up, walk out right in front of me, like during it, make it very awkward. And like here's the thing, like you're in a catch-22 situation there because you know you have to be fair to the people,
Yeah.
like but at the same time, it is a comedy show. Like I'm not, and by the way, I'm not standing up there going, "Aren't pedophiles class?" Or I'm not standing up there going, here's the pros of pedophilia."
Yeah.
Like the joke I'm making is at the expense of pedophiles.
Yeah.
So it's to fucking say, hey, and I think I started the joke with being like, we can all agree they're terrible people.
Yeah.
And then it was like, blah, blah, blah. I think it was about jails in Northern Ireland, because jails in Northern Ireland are divided into 3 different categories: Protestants, Catholics, and pedophiles. And there's a whole big, so that was the whole. But someone took offense to that, and then I had a joke that was a little bit political, and it was political in like talking about the Troubles and stuff. And some people didn't take well to that, which is fair enough as well, because they have some sort of stuff linked to that too. And I sort of just dropped that after. So, yeah, you miss the mark sometimes.
Yeah.
Sometimes you take a swing and hey ho, but the only way to find out is they actually do the joke, you know what I mean? And you can try to think about the outcome as much as you want, or you can try to think, oh, this should be good. But look, 1 out of every 100 times, you're gonna make a fuck up, you know, and you just get on with it. You know what I
I'm
mean?
glad it was you, the person like stood up to, and not Frankie Boyle or someone like that there.
But that would happen.
Because Frankie Boyle would probably still just
Oh
go,
yeah,
go
yeah,
on.
yeah. And some comedians' personas suit that. There's a comedian called Anthony Jeselnik who's an American comedian, and he tells very, very dark one-liners. And when I say dark, I mean like babies having cancer and fucking like all these sort of mad stuff that like I definitely could not get away with. But he gets away with it because it's part of his persona, it's part of his act, and sometimes that plays into it too. And
like-
also his crowd know that's what he does.
Yeah. Matt Rife, isn't that his name? Is it?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, like he says some funny stuff. Like,
Yeah.
it could be considered dark, but
Yeah.
I think it's just all about the intention. They're not actually going to intend to actually
Absolutely.
hurt anybody. It's just a joke at the end of the day.
Absolutely.
Who's your goat? Your goat comedian.
Like I have a lot of different ones that I appreciate for different reasons. My number one would probably be Eddie Murphy, just because of how young he was at the time when he was doing it. He was 22 or 21 maybe when he released Delirious, which I would regard as probably one of the best comedy specials to ever be made. And that is such an inspiration, his story, to see how young he was and to see how he just navigated his career, and fucking such a funny, and still to this day, I think he's one of the best, and I hope he comes back to do it one more time, because I do believe he would still be one of the greatest. He's up there. There's one who I don't think gets the recognition, especially over in this side of the world, that I think he does, is Conan O'Brien. His story is massively inspirational.
Is that him who done like Late Late Show in America, or
He
was
just
it one of those
hosted
shows?
the Oscars recently there
Yeah.
for the first time, and he used to host Late Night with Conan
Late Night,
O'Brien. He
yeah.
then hosted the Tonight Show, but then it got taken off him, and he hosted his own talk show. There was a whole scandal and controversy around it.
See, like the Pierce Morgan of that kind of world.
No, he's silly, he's stupid. Like Pierce Morgan would be more like Alex Jones type thing,
Yeah.
like and, like that sort of trying to be political.
Alex Jones is mad.
Conan was just silly, like Conan, you know what I mean? But he is an absolute. His story is incredible. I'm trying to think who else I really, really love.
I never actually knew that he was a comedian. I just know him from
Yeah.
those talk shows. He
Yeah,
does.
yeah. Oh man, one of the best. I love Chris Rock. I love Kevin Hart. Love Robin Williams. Richard Pryor. George Carlin. Yeah, just so many. There's so many that are fucking on. John Mulaney, modern. Shane Gillis, modern. There's a lot.
Shane Gillis. I like Shane Gillis. I love
Yeah.
Theo Vaughn. Theo Vaughn.
Didn't like his last special, but I like him.
Yeah.
And I
as a
like what he
person.
does. I'm sure if I seen him do a club set, I'd be like, oh, that's fucking class.
Yeah.
Seen Tom Segura over the last week there. He was really, really great too. So yeah.
Who's your favorite like Irish comedian of all time?
Oof, that's tough, man. I mean, growing up, outside of stand-up, Father Ted was like the best to me. And that was like that moment of Irish comedy and all those people that were in that show,
Yeah.
and even the cameos and fucking all. It was so well done. Like, so I always have a lot of love for that that time period in Irish comedy and acts that were coming up at that time. Ardlo Hanlon is obviously fucking Dougal, incredible.
Dougal is the man.
Yeah, I got
The
the gig
man.
with him like a year, 2 years ago, and he was lovely, lovely bloke. I love Colin Murphy. I think Colin Murphy, fucking is incredible talent on the Blame Game and, stand up. He's fucking hilarious. Tommy Tiernan, unbelievable, and what he's doing now. Patrick Keelty, I would give credit to for the career he's built. I wouldn't
Yeah.
necessarily say he'd be the funniest guy,
Yeah.
but he absolutely is very. I enjoy him. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? I enjoy what he does. I enjoy him as a person, and I think he's killing it on the late right now.
Have you met anyone that you were in awe of when you were gigging, or who you've met through the comedy game?
I remember when Kevin Hart gigged here and he walked past me. I remember that being like, Jesus.
Hey, little guy.
I mean, yeah, he's tiny, like but I remember being in the room with him was like, that's insane.
Yeah.
That was a crazy time period. Apart from that, like, nothing really comes to mind. But yeah, like, that would be about it.
That's it.
Yeah.
See, like, well, obviously you've saw him. When people see you out and about, do you
Yeah.
ever get noticed much, or do you get much hassle or anything like that?
Yeah, Shrine in Sainsbury's in West Belfast. Fucking people getting
Fuck
photos
yeah,
of
that
it.
is. That Sainsbury's is insane.
Yeah.
It's always packed out.
I see. I go at times when it's not. Because I'm self-employed, I get the luxury of being
Yeah.
like there at a Tuesday at 11. If you want, if you're looking for me at a Tuesday, I'm probably in Sainsbury's buying some food for the week. But yeah, like that sort of stuff happens. I was very naive to it coming out of COVID because I thought, fucking no one really knows me or whatever. And then I went out one night after COVID, and I was like, oh fuck. I was like, a lot of people, more people know me than I think, So it was a little bit of a shock to the system at the
Yeah.
start, but then you just sort of settle into it and you go, okay, people are being nice.
Yeah.
People are just happy to see you. They just want a photo. Class.
Ah.
Like, and now I'm like, oh, of course. Fucking, like, if anyone ever asks me for a photo, 100% happy to give them a photo, give them a bit of chat. And I think it's class. But yeah, it's cool. Look, more than anything, regardless of recognition, regardless of people seeing you out and about and whatever, see if people are enjoying the work. That's all I could ever want and ask for, regardless of any of that stuff.
I got asked for my first like photo there at the Crocker fight,
Class.
and I was like, people are actually enjoying this. I was like, fuck yeah.
That's
But
amazing, and that's congratulations to you, man. You're absolutely killing it with this
Legend,
right now,
bro.
and I'm very
Thank you
happy
very
for
much.
you. Genuinely, it's class to see.
I had another mad encounter that night. So
Right?
got the Crocker fans sitting there at the bar singing the Billy Boys.
Of course.
Some lad from Derry walks up beside me and just puts his arm around me and starts, it's the Irish Republic. And I was just sitting there sober because I'm off a drink this year.
Yeah.
Just sitting there on my phone, waiting on my missus. They come to the toilet going, fuck. And then he just turned around to me, never met him before in my life, and goes, I'm a fucking mentality monster. And just walked away. And I goes, that's fair enough. Lad.
You're like, that could either be a good thing or a bad thing, depending on your level of medication right now, big lad.
I was like, one of you, 12 of them.
Yeah.
I was like, you are a mentality monster. lad.
Yeah. Just let them have it. But man, that's class to hear.
Bro, it was actually
Expect
it's-
more of it. It'll have more.
It's good to hear the good recognition where like people are actually enjoying it and stuff like that there, because it lets you kind of think we're all our own worst critics at times.
Absolutely, man.
We all sit and go there. Like I was saying to Donald, I've never watched an episode of this.
Yeah, that's
Like-
okay. You
like,
don't need
watched
to. You
it
live it.
back. I live it.
Yeah.
So I've never watched back like any episodes. One day I will. One day I
Yeah.
will.
That was hard for me to do because I obviously have a stand-up special on YouTube and I had to watch it to review it.
Yeah.
And that was hard. But you sort of just have to settle into it and then get comfortable
Yeah.
with the uncomfortable, as they say. Like.
Do you think that's something which you've adapted your game to more, that you can actually sit and review your own things now?
Yeah. Don't get me wrong. It still makes you cringe. And it always probably will. Same way that before you go on to any stage, you'll always be a wee bit nervous. But you just sort of get over it and go, this is it. This is part of it. This is part of the job. You just got to fucking roll with the punches. And yeah, but it doesn't make it any easier to like hear, especially if you're doing shit. You're like, oh.
Shit.
But yeah.
I'm going to put you under like the lights here, and these lights are quite bright.
I like them. Yeah,
They
sure
are
thing. They're doing
quite
wonders for
bright.
my wrinkles.
So we're going in quick fire questions.
Okay.
Quick fire
Do I have to
questions.
do like one word answer or just.
No, so you can
I
take
can
as much.
tangent off?
They're
Okay.
they're just questions because
Gotcha.
anytime I say they're quick fire questions, we're always there for fucking ages anyway. So they're
Class.
just questions anyway.
Yeah.
So, who is the best comedian in your friend group?
Oh, now when you say friend group, are you talking
So
including comedians or outside of that?
No, the comedian friend group. So the comedian circle, your community.
Best comedian. See, here's the thing about this
Under
one.
the lights.
No matter what I answer, someone will get offended by something. Look, best natural talent. Best natural talent is Mickey Bartlett, without a doubt.
He's the Messi of the Irish comedy world. He's just naturally gifted. He's got it.
For sure.
Then best up and coming comedian
Oh,
from here.
Leanne McCooey, who is from Newry, used to run McCooey's Cafe. She used to run a gig in there, and then the cafe closed down, but then she still continued gigging and stuff. She's great.
Unreal. Your favorite takeaway? So that could be bar pizza. We're not going with pizza because
Oh, Indian korma.
Indian.
Yeah.
Where?
Nice, New Delhi's a good
New Delhi.
place. Yeah. Shout out to them guys. Little naan bread, little chips, little corn. Yeah, you fucking. It's beautiful.
I don't know. It's something about naan bread. It's just
Yeah,
it gets you. It hits you.
hard. Yeah.
So like you were saying earlier that you loved your TV shows and you're
Yeah.
like watching TV as a kid. So
Yeah.
your favorite movie. So I want a comedy one, then a non-comedy one.
Comedy, Dumb and Dumber, non-comedy, Grease.
Grace.
Yeah. My man.
My man.
And I got to be in Greece, which was class in the musical. I was in the Grand Opera House. I auditioned and played Kaniki in the Grand Opera House years ago. Yeah, it was class.
I always wave my mouth up and says she looks like Rizzo.
Okay.
Because Rizzo's a rough head one.
Rizzo's a bad girl. Yeah.
shit.
Rizzo was an old looking one as well for being a teenager in school. Like, Rizzo got held back a few years.
She's for the streets.
Yeah.
Mum, I'm not saying that you're for the streets. By the
Yeah,
way. I just
respect
said
to your mum. Yeah,
respect.
Don't want to
respect.
say that.
But Grease is fucking. I love Grease.
Oh,
I've
yeah.
got chills.
Oh, man. One of the best musical movies. John Travolta in his absolute prime. Unbelievable.
But then again, very questionable for teenage people. Like, no, like they're supposed to be teenagers. They're in their mid-30s.
There's one guy on it, and you've seen the memes about him. I think he plays a character called Putsy, and I'm pretty sure the guy that was meant to play Putsy just didn't show up to work that day, and the producer's son happened to be there, and they were like, "You're in, big man." He's like, "All right," because the guy looks fucking weathered.
Would you've been of the age of watching High School Musical?
It just was at that point where I was too cool for it.
Too cool?
It was at that point where I was
man.
like,
You
nah.
missed out.
I know. Nah, I still know some of the songs for it. Bet on It's still an absolute bop from Zac Efron. But no, I wasn't. I'm not massively into it. Go
High School
Wildcats.
Musical 2. I've got to go your own way. Fuck me, still hits deep.
But
every
tell you
single
what,
time.
I was into Glee though, which was
Glee,
similar. And I think the reason why is because it had all the cheerleaders and all. And I was like, oh, wow.
Very interesting because I always thought Glee is the Protestant version of High School Musical.
Yeah, it was.
So-
That's a good point. About.
Just because they're links with the UVF and stuff like that.
That's true.
It's-
Yeah.
so-
Andy and Paisley loved
And
it.
he did.
But
Junior as well. That's where all the expenses went.
yeah.
Straight to Glee.
Yeah.
Your favorite series?
Oh, is a little bit of a weird one. Supernatural.
Supernatural?
Yeah, I
No.
really enjoyed that show. I got really into it, especially when it started when I was 16, finished when I was like 32, and I almost got emotional when it finished because I was like, holy fuck! I was like, I was 16 when this started. Think of the person I was back then.
Part of your
thinking-
life is
Yeah, it's almost like embedded in it. And then the funny thing was, I was out doing a conference in Orlando, and I fucking stayed in the same hotel and met the boys who were in Supernatural and got a photo with them. I was like, this is the craziest shit ever. So yeah, that was cool.
See, for films and series as well, do you have a favourite Irish film or series?
Oh, do you know what? This is going kneecap.
Kneecap film?
Fucking man, I went into that movie going, it'll be whatever. I didn't have high hopes for it.
Yeah.
Man, unreal. Fucking what
That's
a
class.
piece of art to be proud of. So fucking cool.
Fassbender.
Yeah,
insane.
not even that, but just like on paper, you go Northern Irish. Fuck, they'd hate that.
Oh, you're about to fucking... Jesus.
Irish rappers in Belfast, fucking, all in Irish and blah blah blah, and you go, that's not a fucking good idea for a movie on paper. In practice, the way they
Class.
made that work, absolutely unreal. TV show, Irish or Northern Irish?
Both.
If it was Irish, it's Father
Oh,
Ted. If it's Northern Irish, Dairy Girls. You
Dairy
know?
Girl. Oh, Dairy Girls.
Yeah,
Quality.
yeah.
Like, did you ever watch The Fall? With Jamie Dornan?
It wouldn't be my sort of vibe, but I've watched seen clips and stuff. I know of it.
Have you watched his best work?
50 Shades?
50 Shades.
I've not watched 50 Shades. No.
Watched them for the first time last week.
Okay.
All three of them. I'm not joking.
You watched all 3 of them?
Yeah,
You watched
man.
150 Shades? Whoa, that's mad.
But it was actually lethal. Big shout
Yeah.
out to Gemma, my girlfriend.
Right? She watched them with you?
She says we'll put it on. I wasn't gonna watch it myself, like, but she says
I would.
So we were sitting there and watched the Liverpool and Newcastle match. And Newcastle beat Liverpool, and I was just all right, head melted. And she says to me, "Do you want me to fire on like 50 Shades?" And I was like, just sitting there, like it was one of them ones. If you want to, like, just like, please don't. But if you want to,
Yeah.
And she put it on. And I was like, this is actually class. This is lethal.
Yeah, fuck, fair enough. Well, here, that's your thing.
And Jamie Dornan, you're a handsome man.
He is.
I would love to get you on the podcast one day. 100%.
Absolutely.
Your
You'll
favorite book?
Just Cat in the Hat.
Cat in the Hat.
Yeah, man.
Classic. Just
Classic
it's like
hit.
Mason Man. Just
There's
no one
just-
can argue with it.
Just something about it. It's silly. It's whimsical. It's carefree. There's good pictures in it. Yeah, I mean, call me immature. I love a wee book like that.
When there's a cat in a hat. Oh, cheers. Thank you.
No problem.
The keys falling.
The Cat in the Hat's a good one.
We're going to get you on here for your death row meal. You're not going to get killed here, by the way. This is just, there's Ryan who went to Greg's. There's not going to go out and get you this meal right now.
If he does, he should at least give me a steak pick before he does it. I'd be appreciative of that. Death row meal, I think you start.
3-course.
Yep. Start is vegetable soup with a fresh white crusty roll and butter. Fucking good Irish butter and roll in the vegetable soup. Class. Second course, I'm going pepperoni flout pizza. Give me the big massive one. Pete, he'll hook it up. Last course, I'm going.
Sorry to interrupt. Or just your sides. And dip.
Oh, there's sides. Sorry, of course.
Sides and dip.
Sides and dip. Sides, I'm going for just some chippy chips. You know, those fucking thick, nice cut ones. Those. Dip, I'd go for like a supercharger mayo from KFC. Good gear. And yeah, I'd go for, and then dessert, warm cookie dough with ice cream. That's a fucking great
I
death
tell you what,
row meal.
you've
I
just-
got my fucking, that's legit.
You've just went and pulled it out of the hat. Pulled it out of the
I
bag.
put the cat out of the hat. You know,
Put
big man, as the book goes.
And your least favorite area in West Belfast. Let's get into the dirty
I mean,
growing stuff here.
least favorite is possibly the Falls Road, not because of the area, but just because of the fucking traffic on it sometimes. Or no, the roundabout at the Kennedy
sad.
Way where Goodfellas is. Just because, or not that it used to be a roundabout, now it's traffic lights. When it was the roundabout, the traffic was fine. Here's what annoys me about Belfast in general, just speaking on a tangent here. We always do roadworks where we go, yeah, that's closed for roadworks. The roadworks are never, the road's never better after the roadworks. What are
100%.
our fucking government travel infrastructure department doing when they do these roadworks? Because traffic's never got better over the years. It always gets worse. So yeah, that annoyed me when they took the roundabout away there. Now so that area. fucks
Take
me
notes,
up.
Michelle O'Neill.
No, Michelle's probably. I think she's not behind that part.
Well, bro, thank you very much for coming on, Aaron. Honestly, you're an absolute gentleman. It was a pleasure.
Dude,
Thank
thanks
you.
so much for having me. Have me back anytime you want.
100%.
Pleasure.
Will do.